Hello, everyone. Welcome to Knights of the Round Table, and Happy New Year. I'm Luca, and this is TJ, and for tonight's edition, we are reviewing A Clockwork Orange.
Happy 2021. A Clockwork Orange is a sci-fi film by Stanley Kubrick. We follow Alex, played by Michael McCall, a young psychopathic violent delinquent who, after being thrown into jail, becomes a subject of an experiment to get rid of his violent tendencies.
Great summary, TJ. So,
Thank you.
What are your thoughts on the movie?
It was a very... I think it's a great film. It's a very... saying that, like, just to get it out of the bat, there is some vivid depictions of sexual assault in this film, which probably will turn off some audience members. So if that is disturbing to you, please just find another film. But yeah, I found it to be a very but saying that, I found it to be a very vivid, entertaining film. Yourself?
I think it is a thrilling and well-made film. I think it has an awesome soundtrack, and like the intro where it's just a close-up of the main character Alex, and then it zooms out. The movie is already off to a violent start. We had 3 scenes in a row where they beat up people with sticks. I enjoy watching Alex and his friends escape from the police. The music is very fitting, and it shows that they are having fun. I think the camera shots are well set up. They establish the positions each character is in, and I especially like the side shot of Alex waiting in the circle away among the other prisoners. And I like when he responds to one of the security guards the second they make it up to him.
I think those are the police, but the idea is still the same. But yeah, the film is... So Luca, why did you choose this film is my question. And what's your experience with the film and its director, Stanley Kubrick?
I chose the film because it is a horror/sci-fi film, and I'm into both those genres. I like Stanley Kubrick as a director. He makes very surreal and action-packed films. So, yeah.
That's an interesting word for Stanley Kubrick. But, and there was any... Yeah, I've actually... So I do like Stanley Kubrick. I don't know if I would call him action-packed. More, what's the word when he's slow?
Horrific?
Not horrific, more like slow and plodding and precise. I think he's more methodical. Than action-packed. But yeah, I really like Stanley Kubrick. I really love 2001, which we went over. I'll go in there. The Shining's great. Full Metal Jacket. I found Full Metal Jacket to be good, and a bunch of and I've seen a few more. I haven't seen all of his films, but I think he's an excellent. I find him to be an excellent director. And in the case of The Clockwork Orange, I think this is second to 2001 as the Stanley Kubrick film I've seen the most.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But I haven't seen it in a long time, like I believe in 3 years. So it's interesting to see it again.
Do you think Alex is a great movie villain?
Yes, he is. I think Mitchell McCall. I think he does a great job portraying him. He's intense. I found him to be very intense. I found him to be very, very, what's the word? Suave? Not really. Very very elegant, and especially in the way he speaks. But he's also very immature, which is part of the whole. Which there's an immaturity that goes throughout the film, which makes it feel very. Which makes him, when he does his many violent, horrible things, makes it feel very horrific, because it's not just some old man or big burly guy doing it. It's just this young person who's about the same age as us.
Yeah, I think it makes it like, think if it was a guy who was like very mature and serious, like it wouldn't be as fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I found to be a very interesting villain. I also really like this. I also found the setting to be very intriguing in the way it's shown. How'd you find the character of the world as we should as it for lack of a better term?
You mean Alex?
No, the world of A Clockwork Orange. How'd you find it?
The world. Oh, yes. I find it to be very futuristic and full of color.
It's very colorful film, very psychedelic. Definitely a product of the '60s/'70s, and I really like the thing I really like is the mixture of older classical art, such as the music, and also a number of other visual motifs throughout the film, contrasted with the gawkish architecture and decorations, and as we mentioned, like bright colors, which all feels very decayed and neglected. Especially, it is a. I think they did a. I found they did a very good job with set designing, especially with the throw of a milk bar. That's a highlight, and also the music store, which could just be a music store from the '60s and '70s, but still that it makes me feel it makes me feel wheezy, but in a good and intentional way. It feels it is hypnotically sickening. The film.
Yeah, I feel it too. So, are you a fan of Beethoven?
I like Beethoven. I mainly like classical music. I just so by extension I like some of Beethoven's stuff. But I never really looked into the artist though. Yourself?
Yeah, I think his music is very spirit moving and energetic. I like how they
Yeah,
use it in this movie.
yeah, fair. True. Yeah. So you think so? So did you find this film had a lot of because I don't know if I'm just seeing this, but did you find this film had a lot of a, a egalitarian slash egalitarian imagery and and classical imagery? Did you find that the film had a lot of that for you, or am I just seeing things?
No, I agree. I found a lot of that in the film.
Oh, what specific examples do you think were interesting to you?
Well, the bar, the city.
How'd you how'd you find those things reminiscent of classical imagery slash totalitarian? So like
Well, I think
birth,
I
what?
think the art is classical. Like what I find classical about the bar is the light bulbs on the wall and the nude girls like placed all around.
I mean, I can
And
kind of see that. Keep going.
I just find the art to be classical as well.
Yeah, classic. I thought. I mean more. Sorry, I mean more like in old, old master painting type thing, like the Renaissance, what people consider to be high art. Did you find some of that? Did you find some of that in the film? Because like I'm thinking towards like there's this is a bit of a random tangent. Like the scene where they fight the gang in this opera house, which is in a casino, and it's filmed almost as if they're dancing. So, and there's also like the painting and the painting in out on Alex's flats, like near it by that. And there's a and I found a few other things like that.
I find it close to Renaissance times, like not quite.
Yeah, but there's also yeah, but I shouldn't say Renaissance times. Like high art, for lack of a better term, because that in the film there is, I found there to be sort of this motif of violence being incorporated with fine art. I mentioned the playroom, but also
Like
but also
I would say
what?
to sorry, I'd say it's a little more modern to the 70s.
One more. Yeah, well, I'm not. Well, I'm talking about stuff before the '70s. I don't think Renaissance is the right word for it. More like high art. Like let's go to the theater and look at this fancy painting, and also classical music, which is definitely one. I found that which that seems to be a motif throughout the film, and and also more specifically showing violent imagery juxtaposed with those high arts.
I mean,
Like,
I wouldn't call movie color classic art, but the
I,
art that the art within the movie is shown to be pretty classical.
yeah, like there's a lot. Yeah, I found there to be some also like detail, which I think kind of shows this is like the mural, which seems to be Greek, some sort of Greek slash Roman mural inspired thing. Maybe it's a real piece of art. I don't know. Like that's covered in graffiti, which graffiti. There's also the cinema which Alex sees horrible violent films
Oh
in part of the
no!
in his rehabilitation efforts, and it just feels and I feel there's a theme there as well as sort of a authoritarian theme throughout as well. Like this is gonna get a bit dark. Like I don't know if this is stretching it or not, but how Alex is called by a number, like how the guards are kind of shown, which feel very, for lack of a better term, Nazi-esque. And we again see that imagery on when Alex is being experimented on.
I mean, he's being held in a max security prison. Like in real life, they would refer to prisoners by their number.
Not in all prisons, and even then, just look out at the guards and how they act.
But it just
They
feels
seem
realistic.
it's not. Oh, yeah. All right.
So, next question. What are your thoughts on Alex's treatment?
Um, I think it is very horrific and not super effective. I think like everyone in this film seems to be violent and or horrible in some sort of way. Like there, this is another recurring motif I noticed. Like there's a lot of visuals of sex and violence and also just vengeance, even and not just in those scenes where those are being shown, but like in the world of normal people. Like I'm there's a lot of nude imagery in some of the places in many places. Like I'm thinking towards in Alex's home after he leaves, and there's also just this, and also just the way that everyone treats him after he is cured, even though he gets cured, after he's cured, is very violently and hostilely, and even in the prison, just how in the way even in the prison, which everyone is just being just dehumanizing him.
I like the visions of sex and violence because it shows that Alex is still bad. Like there's still some bad in him.
And this is near the end.
In the ending and towards the middle too.
And this is like when he's reading the Bible and he focuses on all these on the horrific aspects. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I think I think he's still bad at that. He is still bad at that point. It's only he only really stops being violent when they basically brainwash him.
Yeah.
And which just causes him physical pain, and seems to be also a little detail I liked, like in the film, part of the treatment is that he is being shown violence. Like I mentioned, how he's shown a lot of imagery from World War II, more specifically of Nazis and just the devastation they caused. Like I do like again that detail where many of the people who are shown, like people who are shown violent acts, are visually similar to Alex and his Drew, because especially in the first film he sees where they beat up a person. They even kind of look like, this might be a stretch, but they even kind of look like him in his Drews. Although that is a little bit of a stretch, but that seems like a detail that would be included.
Yeah. Oh yeah, here's an inquisitive question. Do you think the doctors are villains in the movie?
Everyone's a villain in the movie. Everyone's either horrible, almost everyone. Everyone is either actively malicious, ignorant, or just, or just, or just in. Yeah. Well, that's basically it. Everyone is actively evil or malicious.
True,
Like
but
Doctor is just, or just, or just ignorant.
do you think the doctors play a key role in villainy?
No, I would not say that. I think it would be more. If I were to choose a villain in the story. I think it would be. This is a vague and kind of a joke, but society itself, and more specifically the government. The government would be more of a bigger villain, and just how they would let this horrible world exist and just mistreat the people within it.
All right. I think the doctors do play a key role in villainy because they are the ones that give Alex the serum that prevents him from free will, and they just try to pin it on the government so they wouldn't get into trouble.
They couldn't. That was no. The government didn't. No, the government didn't. They were there because of the government. At least a branch of the government. There seems to be some sort of political thing happening in the background, which isn't really explored. There aren't. They aren't. Yeah, that's where they. That's the government did allow them to do these horrible experiments on Alex.
I know, but the doctors tell the government about their experiments, but they don't tell them the consequences of them.
I think that's what they were trying to find out. I don't think they knew about these. I don't think they really knew what the consequences were, or even how serious they would be. I think what makes them more villainous is just how ignorant / hypocritical they are. Like they don't think they're not really. I think they're also kind of I think they're kind of ignorant. They're not really caring if Alex is really good or evil. They just see him being revolted by violence, and they think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And also another motif of violence occurring in art, which is like in also I mentioned earlier that Alex sees the Bible and he knows that he's attracted to all the violent imagery, which is not exactly art, which is not exactly art in the same way. Like, I guess the Bible would be a piece of art, but more showing just inherent violence in humanity, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
At least in the film's view of the world.
Do you like the comedy?
Yeah. I thought it was very in the film. I like how the comedy is very, very dark. I thought it was very appropriately placed in the film, which it could go so easily wrong, and it's just very fitting for this world, and then the film's critique of this society and the people who run it.
I think it ties in well with the horror / drama aspect. It does lighten the mood a little bit, but it's not enough to be called laughable.
Yeah, I think it would be more chuckleable.
Yeah, chuckle worthy.
But it is more. But that would kind of ruin. But that kind of wouldn't go well with the tone and world of the film. So that didn't really bother me. Did it bother you?
Not really, no.
All right.
So, are you turned off by anything in the movie?
Am I turned off by anything in the movie? Like, a lot of things repulsed. Like, a lot of things repulsed me, but nothing in the film and in what it said really, more importantly, why it's using these imagery and such, didn't really turn me off of the film. Saying that, I do think there's a lot of things that would turn a lot of people off in the film. There's a lot of violence. I mentioned sexual assaults, and also just some imagery which is sort of involved in the Fourth Reich. There's some, yeah, that would repulse some people, and frankly, I wouldn't blame them.
Yeah.
Yourself?
I'm not really bothered by anything in the movie. Sure, it's pretty brutal, but it doesn't phase me at all. But I can see how it would phase other people.
Yeah, this is a quick question for me. So this film was very controversial when it came out. People found it very shocking in the 70s. Do you think it still holds that reputation when compared to other films of the current day? Do you think it still is shocking in 2021?
No, I don't.
I kind of disagree. Like I mentioned, I don't think this would really have a leg over something like Vomit Slaughter Dolls or some low budget horrific grindhouse, for lack of a better term, grindhouse film like that. Although from the perspective of this was made in the 70s by MGM, a big studio, that I think it is kind of. I still think it is a little. I still find it to be a little shocking. And as mentioned, I do think there are still some things which can make people horrified by this film. This is just a quick aside. What films do you think have you seen that are more horrific than this?
The Shining.
Yeah.
The Shining.
And that's more.
Slither, which is a horror/comedy. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think this film would have anything on Sallow. I can't really think of anything on the top of my. I can't really think of anything on the top of my head. But in those films, I think it's also what it's showing. It's not just that it's gory. It's not much gore in it, but it's also just these horrifying concepts to some people. Anyways, let's keep on the questions going.
Okay. Would you recommend the movie?
I said this before, and I'll say it again. There's a lot of instances of there's lots of violence. There's lots of sexual assault, and there is a lot of other imagery which can be very, very unsettling to some viewers. Saying that, I would agree. It's a very well made, very well thought out, and just beautifully shot, well performed, well crafted film, which is very interesting to see and talk about. And I do think, yeah. And if it does sound interesting, and if you think you have the stomach for it, I would recommend it. It is, yeah, it's not for everyone, and no film's for everyone, but especially this film. But it is, but I would recommend it. I think it's impeccable. I'd probably give it 9 to 10 stars.
I would recommend it to people who can handle it. Overall, the movie is pretty brutal and full of tragic scenes affecting both the main character and his victims. I just find this film to be a horror/sci-fi masterpiece. And I give it a 10 out of 10 rating.
All right. Thank you for your time, Luca. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Thank you for your time, and good night.
All right. Thank you for joining me, TJ.
All right.